Hey, bud, what'd you think, man? Let me know some things about what can we expect from you?
Fireworks.
Fireworks. You ready, bud?
That's the fight that everybody want to see.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Do you respect him as like when he's like, I got a couple fights left, I'm at the end, I'm only trying to get mega fights, so
I understand.
Terence Crawford responded to Jaron Ennis' challenge for a fight at super middleweight for all of his belts, and surprisingly, he accepted. This was the most unexpected reaction from Crawford, since he had never shown interest in fighting Ennis before.
And like I said before, that's my obligation in the contract, and I gotta honor that if, that's the next move for me and my.
During an interview while preparing for his next fight, Ennis stated that he was willing to move up to super middleweight if it meant getting a title shot against Crawford. He also confirmed he was ready for a 2026 showdown. This mirrors Crawford's own path, moving from welterweight, taking one fight at 154, and then immediately jumping into the super middleweight division.
Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a real fight. But for me, Boots is the new Crawford.
Just a few hours later, Terence Crawford held a victory parade in his hometown of Omaha. When asked about Jaron Ennis' challenge, Crawford didn't hesitate. He sent a clear message directly to Ennis. If you really want the fight, then make it happen. If it's at 168, send the contract. I'll sign it, no doubt. Ennis' promoter, Hearn, supported the move, calling it the best fight in boxing.
Without him, really wanting to fight and putting forth the effort into doing what he can do along with me to get this fight done, we wouldn't be fighting. So it's only right that I give him that same,
And I need, so after I do my thing, Saturday night and be victorious, I feel like it's only big name fights from here on out, only main event headlines and pay-per-view pay-per-view fighting. So that's my goal.
Matchroom Boxing's head, Hearn, confirmed that talks are already underway for a potential Crawford versus Ennis showdown. Ennis, the former unified welterweight champion, is scheduled to make his 154-pound debut on October 11th against Ismael Lima. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, Hearn said, "For me, Crawford versus Ennis is the best fight in American boxing. But it has to be the right payday to get Crawford interested, because he knows how good Boots is. I'm not saying Crawford thinks he'd lose, but he understands this is a serious fight. To me, Boots is the new Crawford. We just need to get him the right opponents so he can prove how great he really is."
Fight that makes a whole lot of sense, and the fight that stylistically will be, oh my goodness, is a fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis.
I don't think I think that's going backwards for Terence.
To that point, Jaron doesn't have the kind of accolades. He doesn't sell to the mass and all these. So this fight was perfect timing for both these guys.
At Crawford's post-fight press conference, the topic of a potential fight with Jaron Boots Ennis came up. Initially, the 5-division champion dismissed the idea, explaining he had no plans to return to junior middleweight. If the fight were to happen, Ennis would need to meet him at a different weight. Hearn weighed in, saying, "The problem is Crawford only takes fights that generate massive paydays, and there are only a few that do. Crawford is built different. His ring IQ is on another level. To even compete with him, you need real experience and schooling. That's why I've always believed the Boots fight is the one to make."
A roller coaster, but we made it to the top. No matter how we made it, and it's definitely a test to say that anything is possible if you work hard at it and you believe in yourself and you have the faith.
Ennis's connection to Crawford goes back years. He was once Crawford's IBF mandatory challenger at 147 pounds. After Crawford moved up in weight, Ennis followed suit, making his mark at 154 last year by defeating Israel Madrimov to capture the WBA title. That victory elevated him from interim to full champion, and he later added the ring and another WBA belt by stopping Mantas Stanins in April. While preparing for his upcoming fight with Lima, Ennis also played a major role in Canelo Alvarez's camp, serving as a key sparring partner to help the Mexican superstar get ready for his clash with Crawford.
Yeah. But don't lie or kept to the net and make it seem like I had the opportunity to fight you and I didn't. I never did. You know what I'm saying? And then that one time that I did, we said they called and we said we never heard nothing else back about it. So
right.
I mean, I respect it though. I mean, get your money. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. But don't be capping on the net.
But even with all that intense preparation, it still wasn't enough for Canelo Alvarez. After the loss, the Mexican star admitted that his body had let him down. Terence Crawford, on the other hand, put on a spectacular performance. Eddie Hearn reflected on the outcome, saying, "I feel gutted for Canelo, but I'm genuinely happy for Crawford. He finally had the stage to prove just how great he is. His resume never really showed his full ability. Of course, he's had some big wins, but there were so many more elite fighters from his era he could have beaten. To do this at 38 years old is simply remarkable."
Crawford Canelo fight. Were you surprised by the outcome?
It's boxing, anything happen.
No doubt. My other question for you is, with this win, everybody's saying Crawford elevated his status. He's the GOAT. Do you think this win puts him on Mount Rushmore or makes him a GOAT in boxing?
Everybody got their own opinions.
Hearn continued, "We have a habit of retiring fighters too soon. This would be a great way for Crawford to go out. But honestly, I believe he could still drop to 160 and win a world title there. That would make him a 6-division champion." Canelo Alvarez entered the fight desperate for victory, but Crawford never allowed it. In front of more than 70,000 fans at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and with over 41 million viewers watching on Netflix, Crawford secured a close but decisive win over Alvarez.
Park, South Philly.
Yeah.
All right, so they'll kill me if I don't ask you, right?
What?
Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford wins unanimous decision victory.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on the fight?
I was trying to stay up. It was getting too late, y'all. It was like, I think by the time they came on, it was probably 1 o'clock or something like that.
It was like 1 and some change.
I trained.
Among the millions who tuned in to watch Crawford versus Alvarez was Jaron Ennis. The 28-year-old from Philadelphia has been calling out Crawford for years and is often compared to the future Hall of Famer. Just weeks before Alvarez wrapped up his training camp, Ennis had actually joined him as a sparring partner. The move drew criticism, with many accusing Ennis of siding with Canelo over Crawford. Still, despite the backlash from boxing insiders, Ennis defended his decision and shared his own perspective on the experience.
We got a couple more days and y'all gonna see Canelo fighting Crawford, so I ain't got no comment on who gonna win the fight, you dig? If Crawford do what he's supposed to do, he got an option. If he don't beat Canelo. Simple as that.
When reflecting on his time in Canelo's camp, Ennis explained that it was only his second time training outside of Philadelphia. Honestly, it was fun. Just being in there with Canelo, a guy with 67 fights, it was cool sharing the ring with him. I really enjoyed the experience. We sparred, we trained, we fished, and I got to spend time with my brother. I'm moving up in weight, and I just wanted to try something different. I loved it out there, Ennis said. Asked whether he enjoyed the overall camp, Ennis added, "Why not? When you get the chance to share the ring with Canelo, a Hall of Famer, a legend, the face of boxing, you take it. The sparring was great. I had a great time, and I loved every second of it."
Guy of that caliber?
Yeah, why not? Why not you be able to share the ring with, with Canelo and like I said, being there with a Hall of Famer, a legend, and the face of, kind of like the face of boxing, why not?
Talking about how his sparring sessions with Canelo went viral, Ennis admitted he wasn't surprised by the reaction. "I already knew it was going to blow up. As soon as we posted that picture, I thought, yeah, this is going everywhere. Honestly, it just makes the fight more interesting. More people are going to want to watch. I don't care about the backlash. To be real, I went out there for myself. I wanted to start my camp with 2 weeks at elevation. This was for me, not for anyone else," Ennis said.
I think Crawford's going to get the job done. I am officially picking Crawford to win this fight. It is still 50-50, but obviously...
he says that till he goes to Canelo.
I'm obviously going to say that this is a 60-40 fight, and I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's going to win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
This is going to help Canelo. He's sparring against a great fighter, world champion in Ennis, and like I said before, iron sharpens iron. And maybe it will.
But
on the other side, it was interesting to hear your side of how, whether it's the overtraining or I think more the mental side. What if Boots is getting the best of him? How does that affect Canelo going into this fight? Why would you want to even put that doubt in your fighter's head going into such a...
But not everyone believed it was a smart move. Legendary boxing analyst Teddy Atlas warned that bringing in a fighter like Ennis could actually backfire on Canelo. Atlas argued that hard sparring with someone as sharp and explosive as Ennis risked wearing Alvarez down before his September 13th fight.
He's not me.
Yeah.
You know, as much as a lot of people, you know, say we have similarities and, you know, we switch a lot and we fight a lot. He's not me, you know, and I'm not him. So.
Yeah. Tim had said comparison that like he's like a Chrysler 300.
As both camps ramped up their preparations, much of the spotlight shifted to Canelo Alvarez's decision to spar with Jaron "Boots" Ennis. The strategy was straightforward: work with an elite, switch-hitting fighter to prepare Alvarez for the challenge of facing Terence Crawford. Still, not everyone was convinced it was the right call.
And now, I think Boots brought the best out of Canelo. I don't know how many rounds they may have sparred, if it's true, but if it is true, I'm assuming that Boots may have brought the best out of Canelo Alvarez in that sparring. Showed him different looks, the switch hitting. I'm pretty sure they probably wanted Boots to, you know, emulate Crawford or just to be who.
My opinion is I like who I like. You know, I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker. I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard, James Tony. So they my top like guys that I've been watching.
I don't want him leaving it all in the gym, Teddy Atlas cautioned. You don't want to go to war in sparring, especially with a guy who's already had 65 fights. If it were up to me, I'd pick spots for Canelo. Maybe 1 or 2 days to really push him, but nothing more. Not against someone that sharp. Atlas stressed that while Crawford may be older, Canelo has absorbed far more wear and tear throughout his career. Hard sparring with Ennis, he argued, only added more unnecessary rounds. The real question, Atlas suggested, was whether Alvarez would show signs of fatigue by the time fight night arrived.
Highly, put it this way, I'll get right to the point. I wouldn't want wars with my guy who's been in 65 fights or 60 whatever, and is at that, 34 years.
Never!
Always.
This is crazy, Chester.
I just didn't want to see
Chester.
I didn't want to see
Chester. You got a Team Crawford shirt on, hoodie on, but you going against me? You going against me? What'd he say, Red?
I said don't get scared.
No. What'd he say?
He said you just want to see him lose.
Thank you.
Even with the benefit of a grueling camp, Canelo Alvarez had few answers as Terence Crawford boxed brilliantly as a southpaw for all 12 rounds. While facing Crawford remains his ultimate goal, Jaron "Boots" Ennis still gave credit where it was due. It was a good win. He accomplished a historic goal. Good win for him, Ennis told YSM Sports Media. It was a great fight for boxing. But after briefly speaking as a fan, Ennis quickly shifted his focus back to his own career. The former unified welterweight champion recently vacated his ring, WBA, and WBC titles, and is now fully committed to making his mark at 154 pounds.
I trained twice that day. I was like, I'm gonna just try to stay up and not. The fight before that was...
And Billy Martinez.
I was watching like 1 or 2 rounds of that. They was going at it. So I wanted to falling asleep. I'm like, yo, I can't stay up no longer. I just wanted to fall asleep. But that was a great one for Crawford. Go.
Ennis's first challenge at his new weight comes on October 11th, when he faces Ismael Lima at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. The fight is not only a chance to make a statement but also an opportunity to claim a secondary title in the process. I'm feeling great, Ennis said. It's almost time. I'm ready to put on a show. Expect a dominant performance and a beautiful knockout.